In the heart of a sun-drenched forest, where the trees stretched up high like towering giants and the leaves whispered secrets on the breeze, there lived a lion, the undisputed king of the jungle. His mane was as golden as the sunbeams that filtered through the canopy, and his roar was so mighty that it echoed through the forest, sending shivers down the spines of all who heard it. One day, after a long morning of prowling through his domain, the lion decided to rest under the shade of a grand old tree. Its branches were wide, offering shade from the midday sun. With a great yawn that showed off his fearsome teeth, the lion lay down, his heavy eyelids fluttering shut as he drifted into a deep, peaceful slumber. Not far from where the lion slept, a little mouse emerged from a tiny hole at the base of a nearby tree. She was a curious creature, her fur as soft and grey as the dawn, and her eyes sparkled with the spirit of adventure. Today, like every day, she was on a quest for crumbs and seeds, but little did she know that her journey would lead her straight into the paws of the Jungle King. As she scurried along, lost in her thoughts and dreams, she didn't notice the lion's massive paw in her path until it was too late. With a squeak of surprise, she found herself scampering right across the lion's nose. The tickle of her tiny feet woke the lion with a start. He opened his eyes to see the little mouse trembling before him. With a swift movement, he pinned her under his large paw, his deep growl rumbling like thunder through the forest.
"Oh, mighty lion!"
The mouse squeaked, her voice as tiny as a whisper of wind through the leaves.
"Please spare me. I didn't mean to wake you. It was an accident, truly."
The lion, bemused by the courage of such a small creature, lifted his paw ever so slightly and peered down at her with gleaming eyes.
"And why should I spare you, little mouse? You could be a tiny but tasty snack for me,"
the lion said, his voice booming and authoritative, yet not unkind. The mouse, though quaking with fear, found a sliver of courage.
"Perhaps I am just a tiny mouse, but one day I could help you in return. If you let me go, I promise I'll repay your kindness."
The lion couldn't help but chuckle, a sound that rumbled like gentle thunder across the clearing.
"What could a tiny creature like you possibly do for a lion like me?"
But something in the mouse's earnest gaze and the sincerity of her promise stirred the lion's heart. With a graceful flick of his paw, he set her free.
"Very well, little mouse, off you go, but remember your promise,"
he said, a gentle rumble of amusement still in his voice. The mouse, her heart pounding with relief and gratitude, darted a quick bow to the lion.
"Thank you, noble lion. I won't forget this kindness. I may be small, but even the smallest creature can make a big difference,"
she declared with a determination that belied her tiny size. As she scampered away, her spirits as light as air, the lion watched her go, his own heart warmed by the unexpected encounter. He lay his head back down, a soft smile playing at the corners of his mouth, and soon the gentle rhythm of the forest lulled him back to sleep. Days turned into weeks. The lion resumed his reign, and the mouse went about her way. The mouse, however, true to her word, never forgot the lion's mercy. She told her family and friends of the noble king of the jungle who had spared her life, and her story became a tiny legend in its own right, whispered among the leaves and echoed in the burrows. Then, one fateful afternoon, as the sun cast long shadows through the trees, a danger unlike any other crept into the heart of the forest. A group of hunters, armed with nets and traps, stealthily made their way into the lion's domain. They had heard tales of the magnificent beast that ruled the forest and they wanted the glory of capturing such a prize. The lion, unaware of the threat, was resting in his usual spot when suddenly he found himself ensnared in a net so strong that not even his might could break free. He roared and thrashed, his efforts only tangling him further. The noise of his struggle echoed through the forest, reaching the ears of the little mouse. Recognizing the distress in the lion's roar, she remembered her promise and, without a second thought, dashed towards the sound. As she arrived at the scene, she saw the lion trapped, his golden mane dulled, and his proud eyes dimmed with desperation. The hunters were drawing near, their steps cautious but determined. Without hesitation, the mouse approached the net, her tiny teeth ready. She began to gnaw at the ropes, swift and precise. Her determination, as strong as the lion's roar, was mighty. The mouse worked quickly, her tiny teeth cutting through the thick ropes of the net, one strand at a time. The lion watched in amazement as this small creature, whom he had once considered insignificant, now held his freedom in her paws. Despite his dire situation, a glimmer of hope began to shine in his eyes. The hunters drew closer, their footsteps muffled by the underbrush. Meanwhile, the mouse, aware of the danger but undeterred, continued her work with even greater urgency. Her determination was fueled by the memory of the lion's kindness and the promise she had made. The lion, for all his strength and might, could only lie there, entangled and vulnerable, relying on the courage and loyalty of the tiny mouse. He marveled at the irony of it all, how the smallest of creatures was his only hope in this moment of peril. Finally, with one last nibble, the mouse bit through the final strand of the net. The lion felt the ropes fall, and with a powerful shake, he was free.
Go, mighty lion! Remember, no act of kindness, however small, is ever wasted,
said the mouse, her voice filled with a mix of relief and urgency. The lion turned to the mouse, his eyes soft with a depth of gratitude that words could not express. In a single bound, he disappeared into the thicket, his powerful body moving with a speed and grace that belied his size. The hunters arrived moments later, only to find the shredded remains of their net and no sign of the lion they had hoped to capture. Confused and disappointed, they had no choice but to retreat, their prize slipping through their fingers like shadows at dusk. The mouse scurried back to her family, her heart swelling with pride. She had saved the king of the jungle, proving that even the smallest among us can make a big difference. From that day forward, the lion looked upon all creatures of the forest with a new respect, understanding that every life has value and purpose. And the mouse, she became a symbol of courage and the possibilities that exist when creatures great and small come together in mutual respect and support. In the heart of the forest, where the trees still whisper ancient tales on the breeze, the story of the lion and the mouse lives on, a reminder that kindness is never forgotten, and even the smallest act can change the course of destiny. The end.